Hi guys, welcome to my channel. It's your girl Tisha and I'm so happy to be your host once again. In today's video we are going to be going through the Baddies West auditions part 2. If you want to get to know the major highlights as well as intel on cast members from previous Zeus shows that actually showed up for this audition, stay tuned till the very end. But before we delve into this next video, please go ahead to smash the subscribe button if you're new to my channel, and without much ado, let's just go ahead to gossip. Okay guys, so we are going to run through what I feel are the highlights of the part 2 of this Baddies West audition show. Okay, so the Baddies West auditions part 2 started with a fight that happened between two ladies who kind of came out at the same time and were trying to make themselves heard. But of course, when two persons are talking at the same time, it's noise, right? So the other person who felt frustrated, right, decided to throw some hands, but I like to think that she got beat because she ended up on the floor with a broken nail, and honestly that didn't look good for her. But of course that move right there earned them a spot for the second stage with Natalie, Non, and of course the other judges. So yeah, they definitely got their pink bands. So it did seem like the judges were impressed that two ladies were fighting. We also talk about another contestant who came up, and she basically came out and said, they asked her what she was into, and she basically said that she did a lot of things, and she was out, she was mostly out selling her weed, and the judges were like, okay, we'd like to see. And she came out, she actually brought out a bag of weed, she brought it out, and she took it straight to the judges. And bro, I was a little bit embarrassed on the judges behalf, because I saw these judges all of them so eager and excited, putting their hands inside the weed bag and trying to get rations for themselves. I was like, what? And then at some point I saw Scotty. Scotty was the one who scooped the most. I like to think Scotty actually scooped the most. Her hand went inside that bag and grabbed a handful. And after she grabbed that amount of weed, she basically went around showing the other ladies, the other contestants, the weed in her hand, and was like, that's a real body. I'm like, what? So I did feel some type of way about that whole display from the judges, and honestly I felt a little bit embarrassed on their behalf, especially for Scotty. And in fact I like to think that Scotty throughout these auditions actually was doing too much, and I would say too much that it actually got her in trouble very much later. But of course I'm not gonna spill the tea this early. If you want to know what happened, of course stick to the very end. Contestant by the name E.T., I think they call her Scarface or so, I can't remember. But yeah, she came up and she had a broken leg, so she was definitely on crutches. And they kind of asked her what happened to her leg and her response blew my mind. She basically said that she had a nigga in a headlock, and the nigga ended up sleeping on her leg, and that's why she had a bad leg. I don't know, that story didn't really add up to me. Yeah, I know that if someone kind of exerts so much pressure on you, it can lead to some kind of, can it lead to a dislocation? I strongly doubt. But a headlock is all the way down here. How does it affect? I was a little bit confused as to how putting a nigga in a headlock will lead to such a dislocation. But yeah, you guys should let me know in the comment section, because I didn't really believe that. I feel like she probably didn't want to disclose exactly what put her in that situation, because like I said, a headlock is not enough to like, you know, properly dislocate somebody's, I don't know, that's what I think, but like let me know what you think in the comments. So let's talk about Bree causing a scene. I feel like Bree was also doing or also did too much during this audition show. Like, you know, in this part too, you know, another contestant kind of like walked up to them, and you know, as she was trying to like, you know, sell herself, she kept getting no's from different angles, but you know, she was being a little bit like, you know, resilient, consistent, and she kind of like walked from, I think, Jayla's side towards Bree's side. And then the next thing I saw was like, you know, Bree throwing hands, and I'm like, and that was what immediately escalated to like a physical altercation between the contestant and Bree. So like, you know, I really don't know why Bree felt the need to like throw hands on, you know, the contestant, because I mean, they are the same persons that, you know, were encouraging the same contestants to like be resilient, right, to like fight for their spot. So like when a contestant is, you know, in your face and, you know, not necessarily wanting to leave, especially when, you know, you are the ones that encourage that man or that, you know, behavior, I don't see any reason as to why you would, you know, throw hands because what, the contestant just decided not to leave and is trying so hard to like sell herself to you guys, right? So Bree basically was the one to throw the first punch. I wouldn't say punch, but whatever she did do, she was the first person to do it, right? And you know, that kind of like immediately escalated into a physical altercation between the contestant and, you know, and Bree, right? So the thing is, I'm like, what happened to the quiet, peaceful Bree that we saw, you know, on the main show? What happened to that Bree? Because the Bree that came in for these auditions was feisty, seemed like she was angry, you know, and to be honest, I feel like it seemed like she was also intoxicated, right? So yeah, I didn't see the need as to why Bree you know, raised her hand on that contestant, because as far as I'm concerned, that contestant was only trying to like, you know, really like make herself heard. And also Bree should thank Zeus guards for being available to immediately come in between, because this said contestant was way like times 2 bigger, times 2 or 2.5 bigger than her. So definitely, if there wasn't any kind of like barricade or barrier, you know, in that fight, Bree would have gotten beat up, like that's for sure. Rolly, you know, after the fight was kind of like, you know, separated, that's between Bree and the contestant, you know, the contestant started walking away, but Rolly felt the need to like call her back and to go after her instead, so she could like give her a pink band, and that kind of like upset Bree. And you know, when it upset Bree, I was like, why are you upset? I mean, this is something you guys have been doing to each other, right? You guys have been like, well, that was the first time it did happen with Bree, but like, you know, this thing of, you know, it, like I mentioned in my previous video, this thing of a contestant disrespecting a judge, and you know, another judge would now go ahead to give the contestant a pink band, was something that was that had been prominent amongst the judges, apart from Bree anyway. I think that was the first time it did happen with Bree. And so like Bree got a little bit pissed. That's a little bit, she actually got really pissed, and you know, pissed enough to like call out Scotty, because when Bree asked Rolly why she wanted to give the contestant a pink band, Scotty, you know, Rolly was already walking away, but like, you know, Scotty kind of like responded saying that, yeah, because she's a bad bitch. And I'm like, what? But anyway, Bree didn't find that funny, and she basically, you know, started calling Scotty fake. And you know, very much later we saw Bree, you know, exit the scene. Let's talk about a contestant trying to run up on Jayla. What number of contestants have tried to run up on Jayla? Like, Jayla is really stepping on some toes and really getting on some people's nerves. But yeah, so the reason why these contestants like tried to run up on Jayla was because when she came out, you know, she and some other girl kind of like came out the same time, and you know, she was trying to talk before she could even say anything. Jayla kind of like hushed her up and just said, told her next, told her to leave, right? And even, after she tried her best to like, make herself heard, she basically was kind of like sent back. But the other girl who had come, like, who had like, badged in the same time with her, was accepted. And then, after this other lady was asked to leave, she didn't like immediately run up on Jayla. So I feel like what triggered her to like run up on Jayla was, the next contestant that came up, basically she didn't even say anything. She was damn pretty, I would say. So like I feel like her looks, already like, said whatever she needed to say. So she basically just came out, and before she could even say anything, Jayla was like, come girl, come and get the pink band. And I feel like that was what like, really got this other contestant upset. So she did try to run up on Jayla, but of course Zeus security would always, yeah. So let me know what you think in the comment section about this. Do you think, Jayla was being unfair? Because, for this contestant, she definitely did try so hard to like, before she could even say anything, first of all, Jayla had hushed her up and told her to leave. And, even when she did try to like persist, to like, get herself heard, Jayla, was still, bent on the no. And, the next contestant that came after her, before she could even say anything, Jayla was like, yeah, come and get your pink band. Do you think that what Jayla did was quite unfair? Let me know what you think in the comment section. So let's talk about Scotty getting jumped. Yes, Scotty at some point got out of the whole, audition scene and kind of like went backstage to get Bree, and in the process of trying to locate Bree, got jumped by contestants, right? Now apparently this wasn't shown on cam, right? Because obviously Zeus production team was so busy trying to film like the whole auditions that was happening, in the main scene. But like, what got to like the rest of us that Scotty got jumped by contestants, whilst walking down the hallway to like, locate Bree. Now, when the cam finally came to where Scotty had been to like, record or capture like, the whole commotion, I saw Bree angry, venting, trying to like get back at the contestant. But, obviously this Zeus security didn't allow that to happen. And then, just as, Scotty was trying to cool off from being jumped, two other girls came like from behind the security and tried to jump her, like basically dragged her from the back. I was like, so like, when that happened, I was like, what did she expect? You don't expect to be disrespectful to people, to basically run your mouth, like, run your mouth without any filter, and then encourage disrespect to not just yourself, but, your other, like, you don't expect to like do all of that and not think that something or some kind of like, animosity was going to develop amongst the girls towards you. Like, you don't do that. Like, you don't do that. Whatever she got was definitely expected. I'm even surprised that, she had the confidence to leave, to walk on her own without any security, especially after knowing that she was, the most amongst the most. She was, let me say, I feel like, yeah, I definitely feel like Scotty was the most annoying. No, yeah, let me just, let me grade them accordingly. Scotty was the most annoying, followed by Rolly, followed by Jayla, and then Bree. So like in my mind, I'm like, I actually gave a clap to Scotty, because for you to, confidently walk outside, especially after all that rubbish you did whilst you were judging, like, you have some balls, to be honest, because I wouldn't do all of that and not go out without some kind of security by my side, especially when I know that the hallway I'm using is the same hallway that this same set of girls would be in. So come on. So yeah, that was about it. Talk about a white contestant that, first of all, on her way towards Rolly or towards the judges, she spat on her fellow contestant. Like, she literally spat on her fellow contestant, and then the next thing I saw was she jumped on the judges' table. Damn. Like, the caliber of girls that came for these auditions, there were lunatics, there were psychopaths, there were hell-bent crazy ass girls. Like, bro, it was, I was like, what? So immediately after this contestant jumped on the table, Rolly pushed her down like ASAP. You know, Rolly has no chill. It was so, you know, after Scotty left, it was just Rolly and Jayla left. So like, you know, the contestant jumped like directly in front of Jayla, who was still seated but like in shock, like what's going on, right? And then Rolly was the one who kind of like immediately got up and pushed her down, and that was when the security came to like get her and fling her out of the room. So like, I was like, what the hell? Like, honestly, some human beings are like straight up lunatics. Okay, so we're done with, you know, the first stage of the audition, and now we're moving over to the second stage of the audition, which of course has judges like Nally Non, Tommy Lee, and Sukiannah. Yes, there is a surprise in the mix. So the first set of 5 girls that came in, you know, were asked to introduce themselves, and you know, the winner had to do so. Now, in the mix of these girls was Brown Sugar. In case you don't know who Brown Sugar is, Brown Sugar was a cast on One More Chance. If I say One More Show, One More Chance, she was actually a cast member on that show. So, you know, everybody was kind of like surprised, and Tommy Lee kind of like asked her why she's always, you know, why she's always appearing for like auditions, like what's it with her in auditions. And she didn't really answer that question, to be honest, but like she kind of like cut or changed the topic with saying that, you know, that she was also into music and that she could rap and all of that. And that was when they asked her to like do something. She could sing rather, and that was when they asked her to do something. And then I ended up seeing Brown Sugar rapping. And you know, she didn't really have punch. She didn't have punchlines. Let's be honest, right? But yeah, she did her thing, and you know, the judges were vibing to it, and you know, after everything, she got picked. She was picked. I think it was like 2 ladies in her group. She and one other person that got picked in her group. So I like to say this first five ladies was like a breath of fresh air, because like I didn't see any form of like aggression, any form of animosity, nobody trying to talk down on the other. You know, all of these ladies were like cool-headed, and they were like all about trying to sell themselves, and you know, not bothered about, you know, the next person. So like I really appreciate it. I was like, oh, thank you, because like since I started watching these auditions, it's just been chaos. So I was really like, you know, relieved that, you know, this group of girls brought like a, you know, a calmer vibe, and you know, it was good. It was actually a breath of fresh air. So the next set of girls that came in, there was this bougie ass lady who wore black, and basically when she was asked to like, you know, introduce herself, she said a whole lot about, you know, basically she was really
bougie, and it did seem like she was looking down on the other ladies, you know, saying that, you know, she kind of like she's someone who is respected. And you know Tommy at some point was like, okay, show us what you got. And I think she said something like, you know, I don't need to show you what I got. And yeah, it did seem like the judges liked whatever display she did right there. It did seem like, you know, the judges liked what she did, apart from Sukiannah. I was like, yes, Sukiannah, thank you
for like being in my headspace, in the same headspace with me. Because if I was a judge on that table, anyway, it's not my show. If it was my show and you came with that trashy ass, you know, disrespectful attitude, bro, you wouldn't even be given a chance to speak. Okay, next group of girls had another surprise. Yeah, so the next group of girls came in, and you know, after like allowing all of them to like, you know, sell themselves and, you know, advertise themselves, you know, somebody came up and introduced herself saying that she was Lollipop and she came to, you know, take over season 3 like she did previously. And you know, the judges was like, previously, like, I don't understand. And that was when she mentioned that, you know, she was previously a cast member on Jocelyn's Cabaret. And I was like, what? That's a Lollipop. Oh, that's not my Lollipop. I didn't really like her. let me just be honest. I didn't really like Lollipop because, you know, she was, you know, way too bougie for my liking. And it did seem like, I don't know, she wasn't giving genuine to me. So like, yeah, I didn't really like her on Jocelyn's Cabaret. But yeah, you know, and immediately she mentioned Jocelyn's Cabaret, you know, Tommy Lee felt some type of way. Of course, you already know the long-lasting feud that has existed between Tommy Lee and Jocelyn. In fact, I feel like Jocelyn's feud with Tommy Lee, or Tommy Lee's feud with Jocelyn in Love and Hip Hop, was like one of the major highlights of that show during their time. So like, you know, when she mentioned Jocelyn's Cabaret show, Tommy immediately, you know, was irritated and, you know, almost just didn't want to like hear anything. In fact, she didn't want to hear anything from Lollipop again, right? But yeah, you know, Lollipop kind of like advertised herself, and then when they asked her to show up or show them something, she basically like, you know, danced a bit and did a split and exposed that she wasn't wearing drawers. I was like, the fuck? How do these girls go out without drawers? Bro, y'all need to teach me because I cannot. And even if you did teach me, I still wouldn't. But yeah. Okay, so the next set of girls all of them came in with big energy, because this group of girls were people who were either known or like, you know, had this bossy attitude, boss were giving like big up boss vibes, you know, were, you know, making millions for themselves, you know, and were like bulky, you know. Bulky, yeah. So like I said, this group was like, I would target the big energy group. So like, and they were the last group for this you know, part of the audition. So they came in and, you know, they were asked to introduce themselves, which they did. Now, someone that stood out to me in a bad way was Stunna Girl, who basically, when she was asked to introduce herself, said something that, like, you know, her name spoke for herself, you know, basically. And, you know, Tommy really wanted her to, like, you know, show something, but like she was hell-bent on, you know, that, you know, she didn't need to show Tommy anything because, you know, her name spoke for herself, that people knew her in the streets, right? So apparently Nalino knew her, Sukiannah knew her, but Tommy didn't. I didn't. So like, I'm like, you know what? And the fact is, it's not even just about, you know, yeah, probably you are known, but then you're coming for an audition. If you are that known, you shouldn't be appearing for an audition. I mean, and she even said so that the reason why she was there for that audition was to, like, you know, use the platform to, like, you know, increase her outreach. So like, how do you come on somebody's show not humble? People know you, but here you are looking for a platform for people to know you. Like, you know what? It was a lack of humility for me. Her ego was just all over the place. And I, for one, if I was Nali, I would have immediately just walked her out. But, you know, Nali did seem like she was feeling, I don't know, Nali was just feeling all the negative things, to be honest. And she was more on a quiet side. And then, you know, Tommy was the one who was now in my headspace, because Tommy was like, you know, you need to show me something. Like, you're here for a reason, so show me something. Show me why I need to choose you. But she was still hell-bent on, you know, my name speaks for myself. And I was like, you know what? If I was, like I said, it's not my show, but anyway. So you know, after everything though, to cut the whole story short, you know, a group of ladies from, I think like 3 ladies from that group were called out, right? Was selected. Now when it was Stunna, so apparently, you know, they were asked to like come forward and get their cards. When Stunna Girl was coming forward to get her card, you know, Tommy was already hella pissed because Stunna Girl had already kind of like disrespected her. And I'd like to say across the judges, but more on Tommy, because Tommy was the one who was bold enough to like, you know, really question her as a judge. I felt like there was more silence from Nali and Sukiannah for whatever reasons, but you know, Tommy was doing her job. I felt a little bit disappointed, if you ask me, from Nali and Sukiannah, because bro, I don't want to know if you're DJ Khaled. If you're coming on my show for an audition, bro, you better be humble and answer my questions, right? But you know, Stunna was like I said, her ego was all over the place, and you know, Tommy was the only person that kind of like, you know, really tackled her. So like, yeah, when she was like, you know, Nali liked her and, you know, wanted, and, you know, called her up to get like her pink card. So when she was coming up to get the card, you know, Tommy stood up. The way she was, you know, Tommy was like, you know, why are you walking like that, like you're about to come start something? And then, you know, she stood up and hit her chair, like, you know, her chair, you know, she stood up hitting her chair backward, right? Like ready for whatever. And then, you know, she immediately grabbed the pink cards that were on the table in front, especially the ones in front of Nali, because it did seem like Tommy didn't want Nali to give her any card. But of course, Stunna knew better, because I mean, if you know Tommy Lee, you would know not to mess with her. You would, I mean, even whole Jocelyn can be scared of Tommy, bruh. But yeah, you know, so she came towards the table, and you know, Nali gave her a card, and then instead of Stunna Girl to leave, she immediately directed her energy towards Sukiannah. She knew better not to direct her energy towards Tommy, because Tommy was already up and ready for her. She immediately directed her energy towards Sukiannah, and she was basically saying stuff like, you know me, right? You know me prior to this audition show, and you know that I'm a bad girl, so like, why you allowing these people, why these people play with? I'm like, what the, you know, basically rambling shit. Like basically what I got from that whole rant was, you know me prior to now, so like, why you allowing these people, like why am I being questioned? Why are you on the table that is questioning me? Like, was she expecting that she just come in, she say, oh, my name is Stunna Girl, and then they just give her a card? Like, bro. So yeah, you know, at some point, you know, at first Sukiannah was like, there was a lot of rambling that I didn't I think in between she was saying stuff. I think I heard something about, you know, Stunna Girl inviting Sukiannah over to have sex. I think I heard that. But like, you know, I actually tried, like, I replayed that scene like a couple times to like get the full conversation. But like, the more I played it, the more confused I got. So you know what, I'm just gonna attach a snippet of that, you know, after now, so that you tell me what you heard in the comment section. But yeah, after she said that, Sukiannah was like, who are you trying to check? Are you trying to check me? And you already know that Sukiannah is also not the one to play with, right? So like, you know, she basically questioned Stunna if she was trying to check her, and Stunna was like, don't do that, you know I know how to fight. And then the next thing I saw was Sukiannah getting up.
Who was in my cameo? I brought you out to my rolling loud set, Suki. I brought you out to my rolling loud set.
Who you checking?
Bitch, I'm not on you like that. You know if I was on you.
Who you checking?
Bitch, you know I fight.
Okay, wait. Okay,
you know I fight. You know I fight.